So hi, welcome everyone. This is Anuradha Sant, your host for today. We welcome you to this session hosted by Coaches for You, which is formed by volunteers of the ICF India coaching community. So this session is going to be different. This presentation format is a little different from what we presented to you in the past. This session will be for 1 hour, 15 minutes, and it is designed to be an interactive and experiential learning session. So we would want you to be ready for a completely non-disturbing, immersive experience. And I would request you to get your pen and paper handy, which you may require during this session. So during this session, you're free to use the chat box to mention all your comments and questions. And we would request you to keep your mics on mute. And if possible, also switch off your cameras, which will prevent us from any bandwidth issues and also any disturbance to the presenter. However, if our presenter wants you to interact and unmute yourself and speak, then you could go ahead and do that when that need arises. And we will also request you to fill up a brief feedback form at the end of the session, because it's very important for us to gather your feedback and inputs so that we could continue to better our services to you going forward. So as I'd mentioned earlier as well, as we're ready to begin, I would request you to write your name, where you're calling in from, and what is it that you do in the chat box. So coming to the topic for today's session is a journey, doing, being to becoming. And to take us through this is our experienced coach, Sunaina Tickoo, who's based out of Bangalore. Sunaina is the founder and CEO of Brainpreneurs, I'm sure I have pronounced that right, and a child development center. She's a brain-based certified coach from Neuro Leadership Institute and also an NLP practitioner. She's a special educator, an ardent and passionate HR leader with over 20 years of experience. So I'm super excited to participate in this learning session as well. And so without losing another moment, I would like to dive into it. And I'd like to invite Sunaina to take over from here and guide us through this session. So over to you, Sunaina. We're all ears and completely at your disposal.
Thank you so much. I am just sharing my screen. Allow me. Okay. So are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, very clearly.
Awesome. So very good evening. I know I saw people joining in from different parts. So welcome to this webinar. Today, I am going to take you through a journey, and I think some of you, as you're seeing the topic, a journey, doing, being, becoming, and as you're also seeing the image, I'm sure somewhere you're able to relate that it's related to transformation. I know that's a very big word, but yes, that's what we are going to experience. And when we are talking about doing states, doing, I think most of us can relate to it. This is, our daily day-to-day activities. We are literally running from one task to the other, from one chore to the other, to other. And so this is how, we are leading our lives. So that's what I'm going to touch upon in the doing state. Being is something where a lot of mindfulness literature that we all, I'm sure, have read about, heard about. It is something where we are connected to the present moment. Of course, for example, my take is that at this point in time, as all of you are here and you are done away with all the distractions that you have, and you're completely present with me in this moment, that's what is the being stage. And becoming, here I'm going to touch upon a little bit around flow. Flow is a very recent research, and there's a lot of research, in fact, still happening in this space. And this is something I would like to explain. It's a litmus test for me, that whether I'm able to take you guys through this experience, and we are all in a flow state where we have lost the sense of time. So nothing mystical about it. This was just on a lighter side. And while I'm facilitating this workshop, I would want all of you to come up with open mind, with a childlike curiosity, and we will try and imbibe the learnings out here. There will be quite a few tools that I would be sharing with you, and so we need to practice those tools. So rules of the game, I think Anu explained that to you. I'm just reiterating quickly that please relax and sit comfortably. Try and use your earphone or headphone preferably. Have a handy pen and paper because you'll be required to do some exercises. And if there are any questions, please put it in the chat window. And towards the end, latter part of the webinar, we will also open it up for discussions. So I think many of you would have heard about Bannister effect. This gentleman whom you're seeing there is Roger Bannister. He was one of the first runners who really busted the 4-minute mile barrier. Before him, lots of runners tried doing it, but they were unable to do. And he was the first man to do so. It was, I would say, a holy grail in the athletic event. It was really big thing that had happened. However, the irony is that just within a month, around 40 to 45 days, there was another runner who broke this record. And then within 2 months, there were few more runners who did it. And even to an extent, teenagers started breaking this record. So the learning that we had from this event is that once we, as a human being, we believe and we are able to overcome those psychological barriers, we think sky is the limit. And so with that thought that even impossible states, I am possible, I want all of you to have that mindset for today and start questioning, start exploring while we are learning the tools. So there is a whole lot of, a participation that would be expected, where you would be writing down and you will be sharing your experiences with your peers and with me. So we go on to the first question of the day. What is your typical day like? So can I request all of you to just pen it down? For some of you, it may be, it may be something like starting the day with a morning cup of tea. Thanks to the COVID era, maybe preparing breakfast and then having your breakfast, preparing lunch, having your lunch, loads of meetings in between. So I would want all of you to just write it down on on your notepad. What is your typical day like? And even if I'm just gonna give maybe a couple of minutes for all of you to write, and if anyone wants to share anything on the chat window, feel free to do so. Yes, that's what I'm aiming at. Lots of energy and a lot of presence. So just make a note, what is your typical day like? Nice. And it's a typical day, HIT running. Please do write in your notepad, post that, what all you do, meetings, reading books, you're preparing dinner, having dinner. Awesome. So I am pausing here on this activity, where hopefully most of you have listed down what you do in a day. And I introduce here and take an opportunity to introduce here the first tool, that is Healthy Mind Platter. This is a tool that has been proposed by Dr. David Rock and Dr. Dan Siegel. What this, when they proposed it, the basic theory or the argument that they had put in is that the way we need nutrients and we need, there's a food pyramid defined, there's a balanced diet that we have for physical fitness, for our physical health. On a similar lines, our mind, our brain also needs nutrients. It also needs a well-balanced, diet. And the way they put it, those mental activities which are essential for our mental well-being, they have put it in these 7 elements. So the first, and I'm going to explain these elements, and then we'll have a small exercise on it. Physical time, I think it's no brainer. We all have, read a lot about it. We all know the advantages. We know exercise is not only required for our body, it changes our mind, our attitude, our mood. And many of you, I'm sure, either have been practicing, you are exercising, and some of you who have not awakened to this greatness, I think you should, get this as part of your daily activity. So physical time is the first ingredient to, good mental well-being. The second ingredient that has been spoken about is the focus time. Unfortunately, in today's current scenario, there are a lot of distractions, and I'm sure all of you would agree to it. Even while we are doing our work or we are talking, there are those things, back-to-back meetings, overlapping projects, a lot of things that we go through, and therefore the quality focus time, it is very difficult to find that. And an individual does not even get an opportunity to get engrossed in the task, because all these things, they are there to distract your attention. Now, again, one of the most important thing that Dr. David Rock has highlighted, while he has proposed this theory, is that focus time is a must. And we have been reading a lot around this. I'm sure that multitasking is not something which is recommended. So after focus time, the next important ingredient is downtime. Now, this is I think a time which we have completely forgotten. I don't know how many of us literally, chill out. We sit down intentionally with no outcome, no goal. Maybe the way I can explain you this downtime is sometimes, if you are working on a problem, and while you are working on it, you are not able to resolve, you're not able to get a solution. And you tell yourself, let me sleep over this problem. And once you wake up in the morning, you get that aha moment and you are able to, solve this thing. I think many of you would have gone through this experience. So one of the things that is said about the downtime is that if downtime is followed to focus time, it's a precursor for insights. Another example, when I think pre-COVID era, once upon a time when we used to go to offices, I remember, we used to sit on our desk and we used to be solving a problem. And if you have not been able to solve a problem, you pick up your coffee, you go to the vending machine, your mug, and you just, while there, you chat with your colleagues, and you come back, sit on your chair. You're just, completely distracted from the problem that you are trying to solve. And in that laughter, in that moment, suddenly you get the insight. So that's the, and that's the thing about downtime, that if it follows the focus time, there's a beautiful way to describe it, wakeful state of rest. And there's a huge argument again to prioritize downtime. because it has so many advantages. Next ingredient is the connecting time, and man is a social animal. We all know that. No doubt why Facebook, Twitter, Insta, all of that is so popular. The reason being we love to connect, and our default network is social. And there's enough research to suggest that social support improves physical health, and it's a basic human need. So connecting time is another important ingredient for mental well-being. Next, we talk about the playtime. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I think, again, forgotten. As an adult, I'm not sure how much time we take out to play. And play means, yes, actual play. In fact, play joy is considered as a basic emotion like fear and anxiety. And play is something which releases dopamine, and it brings you into a reward state. Something about if play is, it also generates laughter, then it's all the way better. So playtime is another important ingredient for mental well-being. Next one I'm discussing is time in, and the way it is stated is mindfulness. I touched upon it, a bit in the beginning, that it's all about connecting in the moment, being present. That's all what mindfulness in a simple, two-word language. And I'm sure we have read a lot of research around it. It has extensive benefits, and time in is also one of the very important skill. And something about this skill is that it's a skill. That means it needs to be learned and practiced. It's not something that comes naturally. So it needs to be practiced. And again, very important skill to get introduced in our lives. And last but not the least is the sleep time. I think, again, sleep, I think no compromises out there. We should take it seriously. It's very important to achieve our optimal mental performance. And, the cost of sleep deficit is very high. So sleep enhances memory, creative thinking, emotion regulation. So these are the 7 elements which are considered very important for a mental well-being. And I know it is somehow an overwhelming information, and maybe I can simplify it by just giving you my own example. I got introduced to Healthy Mind Platter. In fact, I imbibed it around 1.5 years back. And everything I scored very high on most of them, except on the downtime and connecting time. And I thought it's perfectly okay. I did not pay much attention because I was very happy about physical time, focus time, sleep. I don't compromise with sleep. So everything else was good. However, 2 months back, thanks to, again, COVID, all of learning during this period, I thought it's a time for me to look back into Healthy Mind Platter and see if I can improve on scores on some of them. And I started working especially on downtime and connecting time. And I have a huge confession to make here. It just was 4 days. Within 4 days, I was able to see a new me. I started responding to things rather than reacting. When I was having connect time with my friends, with my family, I felt really refreshed and a new neural connections. I felt rejuvenated, and that's the real word, and no exaggeration. Because somewhere I had a feeling that these 2 things is okay, I'm good on all others. But when these 2 also got introduced in my lives, it brought a very genuine happiness. So with all this information, now we move on to our activity 2, where I want all of you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on all these 7 elements. Introspect, where are you in a balance, and where you might need to pay attention. Please remember, it's an introspection exercise. I'm again sharing the screen because many of you would have been introduced to it for the first time. The definitions are there. Feel free to ask any questions on the chat window. I know there's a question. So there are actually around mindfulness, meditation, uh, savoring, and now flow. So I would like to answer that question in a simple way. Mindfulness, when we are talking about, it is a simple activity where you are connected with the present. And meditation is a way by which you can have the control on your internal chatter. So it is, I would say, more towards meditation. Meditation is a methodology by which you can attain mindfulness. But mindfulness is all about being present, and I will give you in the being state some more examples around it. So I would like.
So just to recap, Sunaina, so you're saying that out of these 7 elements, we rate each of them in between 0 to 10. And
Yes.
then we see which one we are doing okay with and which one we are not doing okay with.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I want all of you to be non-judgmental about it, but just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest.
Sunaina, can you just repeat that last thing please, that you said?
Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10.
Or individually on each of these parameters or as a whole?
Yes, no, individually at each. Physical time, maybe you spend an hour every day on it and you're happy with that. Rate 8 or a 9 or a 7. Focus time, you are a person who is always focused on the task that you do. Rate yourself. So each parameter needs to be rated on a scale of 1 to 10.
Got it. Thank you.
John, could you mute yourself as well? Because I believe there's some ambient sound coming.
No, sorry.
And Anu, is my slide visible? Everybody can see the definitions, right? It's
Yes.
visible.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Feel free to write on the chat window once you're done. Awesome. And I hope you're able to relate to these elements as well. Okay. I'm seeing a whole lot of dance. Perfect. Great. People have already figured out they need to work on some of them. But I would ask all of you to hold on. There's another tool that's coming your way to help you with that. Great. And for those who have already done the rating, I would just request you to write down this question. I don't want you to, get onto the solution or solve it for yourself, but please write it down. How would you like to move this insight forward? I simply write it down on your notepad and we will talk more about it. In fact, you will talk more about it towards the end of the session. So just make a note of this question, please. Okay, so I think we are good to move on. Can I proceed?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. So now that we have understood what a healthy mind platter is, we have also rated ourselves where we stand, and somewhere we, although I requested everyone not to be judgmental about it, but still we have all started evaluating where we are on these parameters on a scale of 1 to 10. I want everyone's attention back onto the screen, because now we are talking about a being state. And John Kabat-Zinn, he is the guy who had coined, mindfulness. And as I have been, talking about it, this is a state of connecting to present. And many times, like even at this moment, while you are seated and you are listening to this, just take a moment to observe your body. Take a moment to get a feeling. How are you feeling at the moment? That is what is the being state. Many a times when you're exercising, you're noticing the change in your body. That is what is referred to the being state. When, connecting with the food that you're eating. And I know I don't have a lot of cameras on there, but I can already feel a smile. How many times we are just not even aware what we are eating? Yeah, that connection, our mind is somewhere else wandering. And again, once upon a time, pre-COVID era, when we used to go to office, whether we ever noticed the greens, on the drive down to office. I mean, have you ever done that? Have you ever noticed the tone of the emails and the need to connect with the email writer? Or have you ever noticed the intent behind the meetings? Seeing the smile of our loved ones, and so on. This is what is mindfulness. This is what we are referring to as the being stage. And to figure out that how do we get on and understand this being stage, here I'm introducing this tool called appreciative inquiry. I'm sure many of you would have already used it in the organizational setup. And one of the reasons that why I chose this tool is because I personally believe a lot in using strengths as a process to improve. Strength-based interventions is what I firmly believe in. And the second reason is that many a times when we look at our scores, the way we look at it is number kam hai, right? I need to improve on. So I didn't want, all of you to look at it from a problem solving perspective. I wanted you to look at it and appreciate what you're doing. So what this tool is all about, the 4Ds, the first stage is discover. And that's what acknowledging and appreciating that what is, exploring the best of what is. So while you're just having a look at your, list, healthy mind platter, just explore what is the best and pat on your back for that, what's going on. And then dreaming. The second D talks about dreaming, which is envisioning the future, what you want. And many a times, one of the best exercise for dreaming is visualization. Envisioning yourself that what is that you want? What is your ideal self? And that's what dream is. And of course, once you have realized what you want to be and what is your future gonna be, you can design what the shoulds of the things, right? And once you have, you've moved from reality to the ideal position and you have made your steps, then comes the last stage, deliver, where you are building to achieve the dream and putting the strategies to action. So this is the second tool and the perspective that I would urge all of you to use while we are having a relook at our healthy mind platter. And to give you more examples, I am sharing here my own worksheet, and I'm pretty sure all of you will be making much better than what's there. However, this is just a sample. As I told you about my story, that I thought things are going on pretty well. I'm good on physical time, focus time, sleep time. But that's the time I realized there's something, there are few gaps. And I started to think through that what are the experiences that I want to create for myself. And for example, for me, becoming a successful entrepreneur, however, I envision to be surrounded by friends and family. I intend to spend quality time with them. I want to respond rather than react. And of course, I want to get some chill out time for myself. And while I am dreaming about these experiences that I want to create, of course, a connect time and a downtime has a huge role to play. And then how do I give my best? And I list down things for myself. I need to have a downtime. I need to continue the laser focus on my goals, and then how to deliver. And delivering is absolutely about writing down how do you execute the steps that you have written. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want all of you to be, making this worksheet for yourself. And the good news is that we are doing good on time. We can even open it up for discussions. And this, after we do a bit of a discussion, and I hope, Anu, it's okay with you, we can open up, because I want to be sure that people do come out with this worksheet. This is the crux of the webinar. And then we will move on to the last stage, that's the becoming stage. So can I request everyone to, start working on this worksheet using, I know you just learned this tool, appreciative inquiry. I am again just sharing the 4Ds, very commonsensical tool. Just write down 4Ds in your notepad: discover, dream, design, deliver. And I want all of you to literally daydream. So while you're discovering what you're good at, and when you're seeing the areas, I did see, for example, and there may be people who think that they are well managed. Absolutely. You may be spending a lot of time, on each one of these parameters. However, there's always a scope of improvement. And if there is, which of the parameters would you like to pick up? That's what I want, to write down. Few people, for example, have written around work to do on physical time and downtime. So please write it down. What does downtime mean to you? It can be anything from just idling away. I can't even now talk about vacations for some time, but watching that movie. Yeah, yes, I can show the worksheet. I was showing the 4Ds, if all of you have made a note of it. So you can even ask questions to yourself. The only thing about appreciating inquiry is that ask it in a positive manner. Ask it in a manner how you can give your best. So,
and with Sunaina's permission, you could also feel free to ask her any questions or doubts that you may have, or anything that you're struggling with. You could always come forward and discuss. This is a safe space for all of us, and we can be open and discuss. And Sunaina's here to help you out. So you could use this opportunity to voice any concern or any doubt that you may have.
and I could see in the chat box already people have figured out their downtime with Netflix and Hotstar. Great, Vivek, and I could see it. And if it is connect time and time with friends, do try to list down, in the design stage, because many a times we know what we want to do, but unless we don't pen it down and unless we don't, figure out how to execute it, it remains there in our mind. So I would want you to write how to give my best to, work on. Okay, Lily wants to go for a ladies trip. So while you're sharing your thoughts, which is great to know, I want you to introspect and also spend time on listing down your discovery. What are you good at? How can you make it excellent? What are the experiences that you want to create for yourself?
And I think I can say to Lily, if that's her dream to go on a ladies trip, and if it's not possible in the current scenario, what is the next best thing that you could look at? So maybe it's time to even explore that part.
Absolutely, completely agree. Yeah.
There's a question from Swati which says, is playtime same as practicing a hobby?
So answer can be a yes if your hobby is actually playing. So as when we talk about the playtime, and I introduce you like a play joy, right? It's an emotion. So play is something which generates laughter. Play is something which energizes you. It gives you physical strength. It has it's like a kids play, right? So if your hobbies are something like ready to play, yes, it can be called that playtime is. But if your hobby is writing a book, a novel, that can come on the creative side, right? So play is a true play where you are going out and playing with friends as you used to do when you were a kid. There was okay, I'm getting some questions like, often our dreams change with time and we are not content, and restarting is stressful at the moment. How do we balance it all? Uh, I have to express one more thing, that we have experienced coaches also here. And so please, Anu, John, if you want to chime in, feel free to do that. The way I would like to answer this question, and so I think it's to everyone, yeah, it's not private. So you can read, this is from Sanika. Just a minute. I'll bring that question. So often our dreams change with time. The big answer is yes. That's how it's supposed to be. They do change. However, when we are talking about contentment, I would love to go back to the tool of, healthy mind platter that we spoke about. If you're able to distribute your time and you're able to spend time on the things that you love, one of the buzzwords is passion. And if you're able to do things, you will be contented. There may be a dream, there may be a goal that is set up. However, the journey towards that goal is equally important. And therefore, if there is some kind of a discontentment, I would want you to start focusing on these 7 elements and see that under focus time, what you need to design for yourself so that you are able to draw a path to achieve that dream. And balancing is a big key thing. How do we balance it all? It is difficult. It's easier to say than done. But yes, mindfulness and exercise, appreciative inquiry, using these tools will definitely help you to balance out your things. So I am not sure, maybe Sanika, if you've got your answer or you have something, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, ma'am. So my question was that I understand this appreciative inquiry worksheet, but so I'm still at my career's beginning. So I have like a lot of paths that I can choose from. And this is exactly the moment where my dreams keep on changing with time. So today I want something, and if I start working towards it, in the midway, something else will come up. And in that situation, it's very difficult to restart because my own life or my content, it's not isolative from my family or my friends or the other factors. So that is the moment precisely that I'm trying to understand, that how do we balance the stress at that moment and still be focused in one thing or one path?
So although it's not part of this webinar, but I would recommend, Sanika, that you should be doing something like a value-based, I can recommend a survey called VIA survey, Value in Action. One of the things that needs to be done is you have to figure out your own value system, and you have to figure out your own aspirations. The time when you are able to draw a balance between the two, and you know what your value system is and what your aspirations are, that's the time you'll be able to be content with what you are doing. So maybe if you are good on all these 7 parameters, the next step of is to figure out that what is your true aspiration, what is the value system, what truly makes you happy. And once you are able to match that, and there are a lot of tests, I just give an example, but there are a lot of tests which help you understand your own personality. It helps you to match with your career. So sometimes you're not in a space where you do not get the right kind of profession, right kind of career. Maybe you should do a check out there and see that what is the true purpose. You know, that this is a place where you figure out little value system, your purpose, your strengths, and then match them up. And I'm sure like you will be able to figure out that what interests you the most. Maybe you have still not got into a space that interests you the most. So more than happy to have a discussion, but yeah, it's there is some work to be done in terms of understanding yourself and then matching that to your career. To an extent, did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So there are.
So there's a question from Pavan, who says that the tool would never be balanced or would keep changing time and again. Does that mean that we have to revisit it often?
Short answer is yes. As I had, while I was telling you about my own story, a year back, it was perfectly okay for me. But then when I saw that there were few things which were not happening the way I want, I went back and re-looked. And what changed for me was my connect time and my downtime. And that brought me a very different set of happiness. And so yes, the short answer is yes, we have to re-look at the tool and see that are we getting all these ingredients, you know, a balanced diet. Because many a times our circumstances change, our surroundings change. So obviously the ingredients are mental well-being that can change. So you should relook at this tool, and please read literature on it. There's a lot of literature, that's around it. It's Dr. David Rock, and wonderful things, you know, that you can learn more about the tool.
So Sunaina, if you want to take another question, this is from Preeti. She says that she needs help in the dream stage when you have many priorities to achieve. How do we differentiate personal and professional? It changes with life events. So I think she's struggling with prioritizing those.
Yeah. So one thing, Preeti, I can even recommend that Coaches for You, this, I think you got registered there. So we do have very experienced coaches here, and because of this COVID era, we are even offering free sessions. So I would love you to, you know, even join there, and you'll be allocated a coach. It's a great discussion to have, and it's a deep discussion to have. Maybe the way I can attempt to answer it is that again, have your priorities set in. And when we are talking about personal and professional space, yes, again, the way I just answered some time back, it's very important that we look up into our purpose, we look up into our value system, and we see that how do we match it up. Because sometimes there will be situations in our personal or in profession which are not aligned. And how do we draw that balance? We have to prioritize, and we have to truly see that, you know, what are those things what are those elements which give me happiness, a true happiness. and need to prioritize that, need to, how do I discover the more of me? How do I get the more of me? Who am I? Those are the kind of questions you have to ask yourself and list them down. I'm more than happy to help you out, on this platform. In fact, I urge all of you, if to explore Coaches for You, and I'm sure you'll get really benefited. So Preeti, I'm not sure if I answered it, but prioritization is important. Understanding your purpose, understanding your values, trying to see what makes you happy, and then balancing out this chart. So I am checking on the time as well, but I think we are doing good. Some of the questions is great. Love this platter. Yeah, I think you should read more literature as well. Have dreams but find it difficult to achieve it due to family responsibilities. Okay. Yes, many of us do go through that dilemma. And again, Zinal, my humble request is that whenever you want to achieve a dream, you have to make your ecosystem work equally for you. It's not just about me, it's also about, the ecosystem where I am living. So you need to, for balancing, again, guys, one thing which I want to help you understand is that when we did these 7 elements in the healthy mind platter, this is something which is required as per neuroscience for a mental well-being. Now, if you are able to get all these elements, is where you feel, mentally satisfied, mental well-being, the way we talk about exercising for our body. It's on similar lines. However, when you are going deeper into it and trying to figure out that how do I satisfy my dream? How can I achieve? So there are various ways, and your grit, your purpose, how much aligned. The way I was just letting you know, one of the questions I asked all of you is that are you giving your best where you have to give your best, right? So there are a lot of other things and a lot of hard work after this healthy mind platter. Please do not misunderstand that once these 7 elements are done, I am there. Once these 7 elements are done, you are there where your mind can explore. You are there where you will be much more mindful about the things that you're doing. But yes, you have to do a work around balancing, around how to achieve dreams. One of the my favorite tools is, I said, visualization. Sometimes when you are dreaming about what is best for you, you should feel what's going on, you should hear what is going on, you should see what's going on in your dream. And once you are able to literally visualize it, that's the time you will even get ideas about how to execute and how to reach out to that dream. So you should figure out how you can work out with your family responsibilities. These days there's so much of trainings which can be done online. Sitting at home, you can get trained, you can even impart trainings. I don't know what profession you are into, but if you sit down and list down, all I'm trying to say is that you will figure out a lot of paths to achieve your dream. And of course you have to make your ecosystem to work along with you. Okay, there are some.
Sunaina, we about 10 minutes to 5.
Yes. So can we move on? I
think we can leave some extra time if we have at the end for more questions or queries.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. I hope all of you were able to at least start building this worksheet on appreciative inquiry. And now we are moving on to the 3rd state. And this is the cognitive mode of becoming. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he's the guy who has coined flow state. And wherever you read around the flow literature, you will also see his pronunciation. It's very difficult to pronounce it. And you'll see a lot of things around how to pronounce his name. Now, what we just connecting it back, what we spoke about is a tool where we can build our healthy mind platter, where we know that what are those essential ingredients for a mental well-being. We used appreciative inquiry, to assess where we are and to see that what can be done, how to dream big, and how to execute that. And we also understood how important it is to be mindful. How meaningful, and what's a little bit literature that I touched upon around mindfulness. And from there, we are moving to a state where the flow state, it is a state of concentration and engagement that can be achieved when completing a task, and that challenges one's skills. What it means is that a beautiful, again, word for it is effortlessly effort. So you are in a state, you're in a space where you are effortlessly putting the effort. You are present in deep now. That's what the flow state is all about. It is a complex, and there's a lot of research that's going in this space. In fact, one of the classic examples is the Montessori way. I know Montessori was it's been there from years together, and flow is a research topic which has just come up. But examples have been given that in a Montessori setup, the way I hope if there were some teachers out here, that if you give blocks to child and the child is in his own world, there's a lot of stress that is given on autonomy. There is a lot of stress that's given on learning by doing. And if a child is engaged in something, he's left there until he comes back and talks about that, I want to do something different, I'm bored with this. So that state where you have completely lost the sense of time is called the flow state. And if I may help, and I hope you're able to see me, I have just drawn x-axis and y-axis. I'm just showing it. This maybe y-axis, it's a challenge, and the x-axis is the skill. So this flow state is a state between boredom and anxiety. What I mean to say is, for example, you are doing a task which is really challenging, and you do not have the skills on it. It will bring up anxiety, right? Or you're doing a task which is really simple, it's less challenging, and you have all the skills to do it. It will bring you to that boredom. So this flow state is that state which is between this boredom and anxiety. It's that ultimate state where you are completely, again, connected with the deep now. So the 7 conditions, that determine whether you're in a flow state is that knowing what to do, and you know how to do it. And it's not just you know how to do it, you also know how well you are doing. Knowing where to go, and you have a high sense of perceived challenges and skills. And above all, you have freedom from distractions. That is what flow state is, where you are completely, I'm assuming with me at this point in time, you have lost the sense of time. You are enjoying the moment, and you are learning from it, and you are, in the moment with the flow of, and many a times I think many of you must be knowledge workers. Knowledge workers get into flow easily. Like, you're doing your coding, you're writing a code, or sometimes story, when you write a story, you get into a flow and you completely miss out on the essence of time. So that is the cognitive mode of becoming, and that's the ultimate state to be in, where you are not confused about your dreams. This is what you are doing, and you're happy about what you're doing. So now that you have, flow is a very deep topic, by the way, guys, and I had purposely just put in, few liners about it, but in one verb, one sentence, it's all about effortless effort. It's about a time when you're doing a job where you have completely lost sense of time. So on this note, I really want you to, again, write it down on your notepad, either of the questions, or please feel free to write in the chat window, what do you want to spend more time doing? or what is your vision of life in one word? And although I did get a lot of questions around dream, and I think I'm glad that we have shared with you the links as well, where we can have more discussions. However, at this point in time, while you are introspecting, what is that you feel by looking at the exercise you did that you want to spend more time doing? Can I have some answers in the chat box? Making the difference, awesome. Awesome. Inclusive growth, being a catalyst. Very nice. Okay. Curiosity building, being impactful. Okay, I loved someone else written, my vision is being. And here I just want to quickly share with you that while I was working on my my healthy mind platter, I got an experience of tying a shoelace. So while I was if you ask me, Sunaina, how do you tie a shoelace, how I would respond, you'll see a smile on my face and you'll see poetic expressions coming out. So that was the beauty of the mindfulness. And if you spend time on any of the mundane thing that you do, but you really get absorbed in it and you do things completely mindful and in a state of flow, you get a poetic experience out of that. So this is something I have been telling myself, that I never thought that tying a shoelace will be such an experience. And yeah, wonderful, being content and happy, touching people, such great visions that I'm seeing. And what do you want to spend more time on? I hope this these tools have helped you linking, and I hope you will spend time on those 7 elements. And those are the basic things that will help you to move on to all the big visions that I can see in the chat window. So I know we do have some time if people want to ask questions, share their experiences. More than happy to talk through. We can. Okay, learning, cooking. Wow.
Yeah, I guess there's some beautiful comments there. A lot of appreciation for you, Sunaina, as well. So again, I would invite every one of you, if you have anything specific to share, any query to ask, any confusion to clear, please use this opportunity. You could unmute yourself and you could have a conversation with us. Or some of you who are not coming on online to speak, there are some questions in the chat box. Would you want me to relay them to you, Sunaina?
Yeah, sure, Ranu.
So there's one, Aparna says, would like to know the difference between belonging and becoming.
Okay, so Anu, why don't you try it out? Belonging. Okay. So so Aparna, doing, being, and I don't know, is it belonging or being that you refer to? But I hope
belonging.
it's belonging only, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I'm talking about becoming, I'm referring to the flow state. It's a state where I have met a balance between the challenges and the skills. I have met a balance between anxiety and boredom. When I refer to the word belonging, belonging has something where we are talking about possessing something, right? It shows an attachment. Maybe the way I can look at it, belonging shows an attachment, and becoming shows a detached with the moment. It's all about the work that I am doing that is bringing me to the happiness. And for me, belonging is something which is showing some attachment. And I think wherever things are attached, happiness, is a question mark many a times. So doing something with an intent, doing something where I'm completely engrossed and into the moment, is the becoming state. And maybe you can unmute Aparna if there is something else which I'm missing.
Yeah, thank you, Sunaina. Actually, I was thinking that belonging, when we do some works, and so many a times you see whether I belong to that community, whether do I belong to this one. So we always, as a human, we like to belong to something. Always, that's a desire, need is there. So I was wondering that becoming, is it a next step to belonging? Once the first step maybe a belonging, then slowly becoming, dissolving self and becoming a part in the ocean.
Yes.
So that's what it appeared to me. So I wanted to understand your view as well on this.
Yeah. I think I agree with your viewpoint as well. As I'm saying that belonging is something which is attached to a desire. It is, and the next stage is where I get into that selfless mode, because I'm just doing the work because I want to do it, because it makes me happy, because it satisfies my challenging and my skills. Yep.
Sunaina here, Anjali this side. I just
so before you get in, Anjali, can I take this permission from Sunaina to actually, I've launched the feedback poll, and as you are engaging with Sunaina and having your queries and questions answered, I would also request everyone to please put in a few seconds and answer the feedback poll, and we will continue to interact with Sunaina. So please go ahead, Anjali.
Yeah, Sunaina here, I felt what you're talking about, the belonging was, in that belonging factor, I feel that there's something attached for someone else. You want someone else's appreciation, whereas for being, it is for yourself. I take it that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, Sunaina, actually I was wanting to bring in this perspective, but beautifully said, Anjali. So I feel belonging is with the other.
Yeah.
And being is with yourself.
Yes.
So that's the difference between the two for me, because belonging always has something else involved in it, and being is for yourself.
Great. Thank you so much, Anjali, for bringing this in.
Thank you, Sunaina. God bless you.
Hi, this is Vivek.
Yeah.
Hi, Vivek.
I think from my perspective, belonging is a journey towards becoming. So I might want to become something for which there is there's a set journey to reach there. So as part of that, it's also a process of belonging or need to belong into something. And then the more we identify with it, and then of course there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of experiences that we need to go through, and in the process we become.
I think I love the explanation. Absolutely. I think, when we get into, this is again my perspective. Sometimes, yes, there are words, there's a lot of things that we attach to literature, to definitions. And sometimes it's just about our own experience. So I think I agree with you, Vivek. The way we were discussing this topic of belonging to being or to becoming, it is a journey, and it is somewhere, right, where others are attached, where desires are attached, and then from there you're moving on to a selfless or detached mode. So that's the intent of this entire journey that we are talking about, that we cross the milestones and we are more closer to our own selves. And because that once we are more closer to our own selves, that's where we are able to do our deeds and enjoy the work that we are doing and get into that flow state. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Vivek, for your inputs. Do we have any other questions? I'm just trying
Sunaina, Aniruddha here.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Sunaina, I just want to ask you, we have this doing, being, becoming. Does that loop ends there, or again it goes into doing, becoming, doing, being, and becoming after it ends with becoming?
Awesome question. When we talk about a flow state, it's not that it's constrained. You can get into flow state even once a day, once a year, or once in lifetime kind of thing. And sometimes, yes, you can get back to the doing stage depending on, you know, the environment, depending on different things that are around surrounding you. However, if you ask me, if you have reached a becoming stage, that means you have somewhere mastered the art of mindfulness, you have somewhere mastered the art of knowing your own self. And so there are less chances that you go back. But maybe some instances, few things, anything, right? Like, for example, COVID has put us in a very different environment. So sometimes you may, but once you have mastered this art, you may not. You may be able to self-regulate, because basically what is mindfulness or a flow state, you're able to self-regulate. And once you have mastered that art of self-regulation, in all probability you may not fall, but even if you fall, you may be able to come back. So I don't know, Anirudh, I hope I answered your
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sunaina.
Okay, I'm just looking at the...
So the poll is already on. So those of you who yet to complete it, I request them to please complete the same. And yes, we still have some time. So this time we had budgeted extra time because last time we ran out of time. So I had given this extra bonus 15 minutes to the session in case you have any further queries.
So may I speak, Sunaina?
Yes, yes, please.
Folks
Yes,
can
please.
hear me. Okay. So self-regulation is the word that I want to pick out, and I keep asking myself, what is self-regulation? I'm in this stage in my life where I would like to focus on my aspirations, and I certainly want to make things happen for me. You know, make my ecosystem work for me. And I'm going through this sort of questioning what really do I want to do? Do I want to serve myself alone, or do I want to serve my ecosystem as well? Ecosystem, which means my family. And it's, I went through this process where it's hugely comforting to know that I've reached a stage where I'm okay with not aspiring for something at this point in time, which is hugely time consuming, because then that takes away the time that I can spend on my family. So believe me, this process is initially so difficult because you're dealing with your personal aspirations and linking that to that of the family. And the struggle that you go through is so wide, it's so deep. I just wanted to share this little piece. I don't know how it's going to be viewed, but just wanted to share that. I'm in a state of flow now with what I've discovered about myself and what I want to do, which was totally different than what I'd experienced earlier. My state of flow was more linked to my personal achievements, and it took me a long time to get out of that. Yeah. Wanted to share that.
So Nita, so wonderful and so courageous to share. So first and foremost, thank you so much. I think you're not alone in this journey. There are a lot of people, and I'm tempted to again where my coach had, because these are such deep discussions that you would always love to talk further, explore more. And again, wearing my coach hat, I would like to check with you on how you are. So you have taken few decisions, maybe very tough ones, but how are you feeling at this state about it? You should check, introspect on that. If at present it gives you like you are doing, this is the way to be, then ask yourself next set of questions, that when will I be prepared for the next state in life? So yes, life is full of sometimes compromises, but I do believe that there are ways out. And again, I'm tempted to tell you, please get in touch with our coaches. I think it's a wonderful discussion to have, and we may be able to figure out few things where you be, you know, asking yourself and doing those steps. So there are a lot of ways where we can question ourselves and see a way out. So I'm sure, Sunita, yeah, there's no perfect right or wrong answer for this, but yes, you have to have an inside out journey. You have to figure out that what made you do or choose those things at present, and what you can do differently to choose things and make your dream come true, which is a possibility. I mean, there's nothing like given on it. So I think it will take some time, but how do you figure that out for yourself? Yeah,
Thanks.
So Sunaina, as we are drawing to a close, I think you can stop share. There's something else which is coming up on your screen. So I'd like to thank you, Sunaina. Thank you for this absolutely enriching session. I think so well presented and so well, attended by people. So I'll also appreciate all the audience who were there with us. And all the interactions, the absolutely marvelous comments that we had. So thank you so much. We would continue to want to engage with you. So please log into our website, www.coachesforyou.in, and you can register for all our future webinars and events as well. So our next webinar is now coming up for the 12th of June. And that too is going to challenge your thinking. So stay tuned. I will be putting up the details shortly. Apart from the webinars and the events that we host, we also have a lot of other exciting stuff on our website, which are articles, there are blogs, there are, as Sunaina mentioned, you must experience a free coaching session with some of the most experienced coaches that we have. And in case any of you are a coach, then feel free to register as a volunteer coach as well, because there's mentoring, there is group mentoring, there is peer coaching, there's pro bono coaching. So there are a host of activities that we're all, very busy with. So with that, I'd like to close this session today with my absolute appreciation to you, Sunaina, and all the audience who are there with us today. And we hope to have you back with us for many more webinars to come and many more such events. So thank you so much and all the best.